Isabella, and today I will be reading you Alexander and the Curly-Wurly Caterpillar, written by Christopher Quirk. Alexander was a funny little boy. He always tried to be good at school, good at home. He tried as hard as he could. But no matter how hard he tried, trouble would always be there, following little Alexander around. It wasn't really fair. He often thought it was because he was short, or maybe his bright blonde hair. Maybe because his friends all knew he couldn't resist a dare. One day, Alexander was in the garden, playing with his bright red bouncy ball. He was given his ball when he was young, before he could even crawl. He took his ball everywhere he went, even in the bath. He had so much fun with his ball, it really made him laugh. He bounced it on the wall, he bounced it on the floor, he bounced it on the garden fence, he bounced it on the door. He bounced it on the window, he bounced it on the ledge, he bounced it so very, very high, it landed in the hedge. The hedge was thick and scary. It was dark as the night, with massive, massive prickly thorns. It gave him such a fright. Alexander really loved his ball. He couldn't leave it alone. He had to go and get his ball and bring it safely home. Alexander got down on his knees. He was crawling in the mud, over logs and past some trees, and even flower buds. This scary world was very strange, like nothing he's seen before. With still no sign of his ball, there was nothing more he wanted. His knees were really dirty, his clothes were really torn. Alexander was starting to regret the shoes that he had worn. He felt he had crawled for hours. This bush went on and on. He wondered whether Mum and Dad knew where he had gone. It was starting to get darker. His ball was nowhere to be seen. Alexander began to worry now if he would ever be clean. Suddenly, something caught his eyes. A sudden glimpse of red. Could it be his ball was there? Was it just resting ahead? He crawled and twisted through the bush, forgetting all his fears. If he didn't find this ball, he could be here for years. As Alexander got to a source, his hopes began to lag. He had not found his precious ball. It was just a plastic bag. The little boy sat down on the floor. He knew that he was lost. He was cold, wet and very dirty, and the floor was starting to frost. Alexander let out a sob. I wish I had my ball. It was starting to get quite late now. Mum would not be happy at all. A drip began to fall down his face, and his tears started to pour. The tears were running off his cheek and into a crack in the floor. Suddenly, the ground just opened up, and a caterpillar jumped out. He was all curly and whirly and began to let out a shout. Don't worry, Alexander. I'll help you find your ball. I've been watching your journey for some time, and I'm not happy at all. The caterpillar was multicoloured and wearing a shiny top hat. He had a beard and a monocle, and on a leaf he sat. Alexander was terrified and scared. Of this he was too sure. He had never seen a talking caterpillar or one so well dressed before. I need your help, Mr. Caterpillar, Alexander now replied. I'm very cold, wet and dirty, and I've lost my ball, he sighed. The caterpillar then exclaimed, just say these magic words with me. The magic words are just perfect, and you and your ball will be free. Alakazambo, Balagaush, get me and my ball out of this bush. Alexander repeated the words, and at once movement he felt. The hedge was gone. It disappeared, and back on the lawn he knelt. He looked around and recognized his garden, his house, his slide. Everything was back to normal. He had returned to his house outside. The caterpillar had done it. He was back at the house, he knew. The ball was lying next to him, he thought. Now what do I do? The caterpillar had saved him and would be a lifetime friend. Alexander went back into the house and never in that bush again. Alexander said hello to Mum. He noticed the look on her face, but something wasn't normal. It was different in this case. Mum was very angry. She opened her mouth and yelped. There was one thing the caterpillar hadn't done, something that he hadn't helped. Alexander looked down at his clothes. He saw a horrific sight. His clothes were still ripped and dirty, and Mum had almost gone white. I'm all wet and muddy, thought Alexander. This mess Mum could never contain. Mum looked very angry, very mad, and Alexander was in trouble again. And that's the end of the story. Make sure to go to Amazon and get your copy. Bye!